Part question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Addition to everything I just told all of you, I was sent an email from our current town supervisor, David Van Leuven, and in the email, he said not enough accidents have happened in the area to warrant stop signs.
Yeah, I mean, all of these kind of lower traffic neighborhoods, that could be their answer, right? I mean, there's not going to be scores and scores of horrific injuries on these side streets. But at the same time, if something is low cost and provides incremental safety, then it makes sense to deploy it. So, you know, if we're talking about installing an all-way stop at an intersection to prevent kids from getting run over, you know, that makes a lot of sense to me. There's a traffic engineer we can always consult. I don't need 10 committees to go through to make a decision like that. I think we have a lot of analysis paralysis and hiding behind these type of committees. The other thing that I was thinking about the other day is I get a lot of this stuff, right? Like cars whipping by, distracted driving, you know, and some of it may be hyperbolic, but I think some of it's real and some of it's concentrated. And the way that you could identify where these concentrations are so you could direct resources to kind of the highest impact thing is to deploy a customer relationship management tool that has the locations for each report. And so you can see where the clusters are and where you would do most good by deploying capital. So I think in the kind of traffic safety sphere, I think we really need to think about, for all these reports flying around, I mean, I think you said you were kind of passed around. You went to Dorsey, you went to Van Leuven, you're talking to, you know, Joanne. Like, are they talking to each other? Is there a historical record of all this stuff? To me, that's just not good government. It's not responsive government. And I think if you went up to them and said, this, and this happened, they'd say, no, it didn't. But if we had a customer relationship management tool, we would know what happened and what didn't happen because that all should be part of the historical record. And in the private sector, that's how we handle these things, right? That's how you track everything. So that when you say, hey, I'm going to pass you off to another department, you don't start over. You start with that historical record that's been built up in the past.
If you were to do the study she mentioned, would you get the police report prior to paying for that study?
Yeah, of course. Oh. And I think you said something about hitting the car. That's a very odd scenario of a little kid driving into the side of a moving car. So I think I would also question that if that was part of the record and we were talking about how to handle that. But you know, traffic safety in general in Bethlehem is a big concern. I've heard dozens and dozens of these reports all over. People have real concerns. And you know, the truth is, we can't build speed bumps everywhere. We can't, you know, I don't want to put up cameras all over the place. They did that in Albany. It discourages investment. It discourages people from going into Albany and, you know, being patrons of stores and businesses. I think the best way to handle that, and I've talked to people about this, is more patrols. And if we're going to have more patrols, we need to have more police officers. You know, it's a matter of priorities, where we spend money and how we spend money. But the truth is the department is at about 35, and at their high, they were about 8 officers more than that. And we live in a time where retail theft is off the charts. Have you ever gone to Walmart and, you know, you can't buy a pair of underwear without getting somebody to unlock the case? There's a reason for that. The reason is because the retail theft is off the charts. And I don't care what somebody says the statistics say. Go talk to any police officer, anyone, Gina, all the way down. They'll all tell you they're at Walmart every single day dealing with this stuff. And if they're at Walmart, they're not in your neighborhood. They're not handing out tickets. They're not curbing this type of reckless behavior. So, and the thing to speed bumps is I know people throw the speed bump thing around a lot, but I just want to be honest and transparent. Speed bumps cost about $20,000 per bump, okay? If you put them everywhere where people wanted them, you'd be talking about hundreds of speed bumps around town. The maintenance of that and the cost of the original bump is just not realistic and feasible. They also damage equipment. They damage suspension. They damage plows. They damage all kinds of stuff. You have to do upkeep every single year. It's not sustainable. A better investment is 8 more police officers in our area, better public safety, better traffic safety, better relationships in the community, all of those things. There's a lot of kind of intrinsic value there. Okay?
So one kid getting hit would have been enough for the stop signs? That's what you're saying?
100%. I would talk to the traffic engineer. Sure. I would talk to my my running mates here, and we'd go out there and we'd drive some signs. Now, I've heard the excuse that, well, the state has standards and guidelines. They do have standards and guidelines, but but the town controls town roads. Now, if it's a main road, if it's Delaware or one of those, no, you can't just willy-nilly start jamming signs in 9W, right? But if it's a town road, we make the decisions. Yes, there's standards and guidelines, and that's fine. But the idea that, well, there's not enough accidents, so we're not going to put one in, that's just not accurate. Okay.